Welcome to, or back to, Forgotten Hollywood, the channel where I take you back in time to show you the movies, shows, and actors that have faded over the years. It seems everyone has a special movie connected to their childhood, be it a holiday tradition or the movie you watch during a sleepover. However, some childhood classics have scenes or themes better suited for adult viewing than kids' movies. Honestly, some elements remind me more of horror and thriller films than something made by Walt Disney. Yet these messed up movies are made for and marketed to children. One famous example of a traumatizing film, and some people may fight me on this, is the 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I have known many people that love this movie. I have always hated it. I remember as a young child being terrified of Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka. All I could see was a creepy man that yelled at kids and offered them candy to come spend the day with him. I mean, we were warned about this kind of thing in school. However, I would like to address how the fate of the bad children is left ambiguous, so they could be dead. And of course, there is the tunnel sequence that frightened even the actors that were in the scene. Seriously, who thought this was a good idea for a happy children's musical? Speaking of frightening images, may I bring your attention to 1985's The Goonies? Now, it's not the deformed creature I have issue with in this movie, it's the sheer intensity of some of the scenes, particularly the threats of violence against children. Making a move to cut out a boy's tongue or stick his hand in a blender is more what I would expect from something like Saw than Muppets Treasure Island, or whatever children's adventure you grew up with. I mean, that was a bit much for me the first time I saw it, and I was already married at the time. Personally, I'll stick to the Muppets if I want to see kids hunting for treasure. More songs, less attempted maiming. In 1987, young audiences were treated to Monster Squad. Now, I understand that this is a children's horror movie and a far cry from a happy musical, so some scary images and peril is expected. But what about underage smoking and drinking? One of the characters, identified as being in junior high, is shown lighting up a cigarette in school and smoking again during the climax. There is also a scene in their clubhouse where he is drinking from a brown bottle with no label. It's never said to be beer, but the implication is there. That's not even taking into account the theme of virginity and implied female nudity in a photograph that the young boys have. Did I mention this is a kids' movie? 1990 ushered in a holiday classic, Home Alone. I'm sure most of you listening have fond memories of this movie and its New York sequel. The other movies could comprise a full video of their own. It was one of my family's holiday classics, but if one stops to peel away the suspension of disbelief for even a moment to see what's happening, the plot of this movie is pretty disturbing. Here is a kid who celebrates getting rid of his family and then finds out burglars have targeted his house. Instead of telling the police or even the kindly neighbor he befriends about the danger, he fashions a series of life-threatening pranks to punish the robbers that they are lucky to survive. Both movies contain scenes that I couldn't bear to watch as a kid just because of how cruel and dangerous the stunts were, such as lighting men on fire, dropping a hot iron on their face, and the over-the-top electrocution in the sequel. Little Kevin clearly has issues. The last movie I want to mention ushers us into the Halloween season. That would be the 1993 Disney film Hocus Pocus. Much like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I have never liked this movie. Granted, I had never seen it until the first Halloween I had a college roommate, and she set out to remedy that. Even so, I'm fairly certain I wouldn't have liked it as a child either for one big reason: the deaths. The movie opens with the murder of a child, followed by the on-screen execution of her murderers, and ends with the death of one of the heroes. I would have seen this more as a tragedy than a comedy, and that's not even where it stops. The theme of virginity is big in this movie, even more so than the Monster Squad. There is also the comments made about a teenage girl's body, objectifying her for the sake of humor, and the fact that Sarah Jessica Parker is almost falling out of her dress for most of the movie. This is a movie made for children. From Willy Wonka to the Sanderson sisters, these films have been the stuff of nightmares for over 50 years. They paved the way for such children's films, and I use the term loosely, as Shrek, which I still say is an adult fairy tale, but that's a story for another video. These elements of the film are not needed to make a good movie, although I suppose the fun of Home Alone is seeing the bad guys slipping on the stairs and getting hit by paint cans. Even so, the skeleton getting electrocuted in New York was a bit much. Children's movies, especially those for young children or geared towards whole families, should be fun, whimsical, and not require you to tell your little sister when it's safe to open her eyes. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on these movies? Do you agree or disagree with my analysis? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this sort of content. Also, click that bell to receive notifications. Let me know if there is another theme in Hollywood's past you would like me to highlight, and I will catch up with you next time.